no research had told me about that. So I was like, what's this?
Like, why is this not working? I went to lactation class. I did everything.
Boundaries has been awkward, but worth it.
When they put her on my stomach, it was just like, oh my God, this is mine. Like, I really grew this baby.
Every aspect of it is like I'm becoming a different version of myself along this journey too.
Welcome to another episode of Autonomous Birth. I am joined today by Courtney. She is the owner of Picture Perfect Latch, a lactation consultant as well as an RN. And she's going to share some knowledge with us today about breastfeeding. And so that is my introduction of Courtney. If you could introduce yourself to the listeners and a bit of your background and what inspired you to become a lactation consultant.
All right. So hello, everyone. As Nigel said, my name is Courtney Skipworth. I am the founder and CEO of Picture Perfect Latch. Helping lactating moms in and around Jacksonville, Florida specifically. A little bit about my background. I am a registered nurse. I graduated from the real HU, Hampton University. Anyway, so I have been a nurse for almost 8 years. I started my journey as a Navy nurse, and my first duty station was as a postpartum nurse at Portsmouth Naval. I did that for around 3 to 3.5 years. And in nursing school, I knew I had a love for the birth space when I got to my maternal child section and got to do clinicals there. So I knew that's where my heart lived. But being in the military, you don't get to do what your heart loves all the time. So I went through the process. I was medically retired November of 2024, and I was able to follow my love now. So I have a private practice lactation consulting in Jacksonville, and I also work PRN in one of the hospitals at the bedside still as a lactation consultant. I have 2 kids. I have a 2.5-year-old son who I am still breastfeeding, and I have a 6-year-old daughter who breastfed for 2 years. So I am still actively in the breastfeeding game, and it is my goal to kind of spread good information, positive information, and share my story about being able to successfully breastfeed 2 kids, 2+ years, because most of the time you don't hear the success. You see the hard times, you see how difficult it is. And if you're not surrounding yourself with people who have actually been able to do the thing you're trying to do, and you don't know how to do the things you're trying to do, and you're not getting good, useful information, then your journey ends a lot sooner than maybe it should have. So that is pretty much my goal.
Okay. So thank you for joining me. So as listeners know, with the episodes, we usually do pregnancy, birth, postpartum. Courtney's going to walk us through that in the scope of breastfeeding. So to start, what can moms do during pregnancy to prepare for breastfeeding?
My number one recommendation is if you have access to a lactation professional prenatally, get a prenatal consult. Everything surrounding breastfeeding, motherhood, taking care of your child should be directed and unique for you, your situation, your child. You can get a lot of general information. You can go to these breastfeeding classes, but there are certain things that are unique to you and your situation. So prenatal consultations are huge. It also gives you good expectations. You should not expect your newborn to sleep through the night. You should expect to be tired. You should expect to have to wake up several times to feed this new baby. And sometimes I don't think people are prepared for that side of it. We kind of see, oh, look at these beautiful pictures, or look at this latch, or look how chunky my baby is. But that's a struggle, and that's putting in work. And also, I'd say prenatally, you want to get your village already prepared, get your support system already prepared. A lot of breastfeeding journeys, unfortunately, end because of lack of support. If that is support in your environment, your spouse or partner, your family, it doesn't matter. And if you don't have those things, you can always create your village. And that support is super important no matter what you're doing when it comes to motherhood and the journey. So prenatally, there's not a whole lot you can do that will affect your breastfeeding journey postpartum. besides kind of getting the research, getting the information, having a plan together. The same way you make your nursery, the same way you have your baby shower, the same way you make a birth plan, have a feeding plan in place. Because when it's time to feed your baby, that's the wrong time to try to figure stuff out. Like, you behind the curve already because the baby here, they got to eat. So preparing yourself prenatally is going to be my most important thing.
I never heard of prenatal consultation. What does that look like?
So it can be different depending on who you're going to. Let's say you came to me as your lactation professional. I do a whole questionnaire. And that involves kind of if you have had any issues with breastfeeding prior. Because if you have these negative or traumatic experiences, they definitely shape what it looks like going forward. You're either going to be super like, yes, I'm going to do this, I'm ready, or you're going to be like, I ain't really worked the first time, so I'm kind of seeing how this goes. Also, a lot of people don't realize how hormones play a part in your breastfeeding journey. So if you had issues with fertility, PCOS, diabetes, hypertension, all of these things, if you're in high stress environments, all of these things can affect your supply. Have you had breast augmentations, any reductions? Have you had back surgery? Like, there are so many things that play a part in breastfeeding and the journey that people don't realize. So having a prenatal consult to sit down and say, hey, this is my concern. Oh, I did have gestational diabetes, or I do deal with anxiety, depression, even those kind of things. Because if you already deal with those mental health concerns, having a baby and trying to figure out how to feed them is adding on to that. So I can sit down with you. We can talk about what your goal is. It's not everyone's goal to breastfeed long term. It's not everyone's goal to strictly breastfeed. Some people start out saying, hey, I want a combination feed. Cool. It is not my job to tell you what to do with your baby. It is my job to support you in meeting your goal and making sure you have the correct information. So prenatal consultations, again, give you that unique view of this is my goal. This is how I want my journey to look. Let's get there. And also, again, making it realistic. Because realistically, the journey does not look like what is portrayed all the time.
And that's a great segue. What are the biggest misconceptions out there about breastfeeding
That is
like
easy.
we're consuming?
That is easy, because it is not. I also hear a lot, oh, breastfeeding is free. It is absolutely not. I don't know who is perpetuating that lie, but it is a complete lie. Breastfeeding may be less expensive than formula because no, I don't have to buy $50 cans of formula once a week. But breastfeeding is time consuming. Breastfeeding is taxing on the body. Breastfeeding is taxing on your mental if you're not prepared for that. All of that stuff costs. And again, breastfeeding can be costly. If you have to get lactation support, we have to buy pumps. You still have to buy bottles if you are going back to work, or all of the flange sizes. Like, there are costs associated with breastfeeding. And again, the other side is breastfeeding is easy. Breastfeeding is natural. It is something that your body is meant to do. That doesn't make it easy. We're all meant to walk. That doesn't make it easy when we're trying to learn those steps. So that's two of the big misconceptions. And another thing I like to throw in is breastfeeding doesn't have to be all or nothing. I hear a lot of people say, oh my gosh, my baby, I'm breastfeeding. I can't leave the house. I can only leave for this amount of time. Like, no, that is not how that works. And again, that all plays into having the support system that you need, knowing clearly what your goals are and how to get to those goals. But yeah, those are kind of the top three for me, again, that I kind of go over with prenatal consultations or during our consultations to see how we can make this work for you, because it doesn't have to be all or nothing.
And so I have heard a few times, like, people, their kids will only, they say, I can't leave the house because my kids will only eat from the boob.
Yeah.
What is your advice to them in those instances?
So I like to say introducing the bottle early is important. Usually our babies have a natural suck reflex, which does not integrate until about 8 weeks or so. Between 6 and 8 weeks, it starts integration. That means that anything that reaches the top part of your baby's mouth, they will close their mouth on and suck on it as long as there's no oral dysfunctions, right? Let's say you're going back to work at 8 weeks. If I don't introduce a bottle till around 6 weeks, when that suck reflex is already starting to integrate and my baby can choose to suck on stuff, I'm already behind the curve. Because now I have to figure out what bottle my baby will take. Will they take cold milk, warm milk, how much milk to, like, there's so many things that play into that. So my recommendation is always to start bottle feeding, light introduction, around 3 to 4 weeks. At that 3 to 4 week mark, your baby still has enough time to take advantage of that suck reflex. So you have enough time to figure out what bottles your baby wants to take. You have enough time to kind of train your body, your baby, on what's going on. So it doesn't have to be, I woke up and for the last 6 weeks I've been with mom and eating from mom. And now tomorrow you want to be like, hey, try this. Here's this. So light introduction is always what I recommend. And also I do that around the 3 to 4 month or 3 to 4 week mark. Just because again, you still have time with that suck reflex to try to figure things out. But in most cases, breastfeeding has been well established. You kind of know a pattern. You've kind of been feeding your baby. If there are or were any difficulties, hopefully those have started to come to light and kind of get addressed. So you get to play both sides. Also, your milk supply is usually very robust in the very first 3 months of your supply. So you have more milk to kind of do more things with. And so I also say integrate pumping around that time as well. Not like on a schedule. We don't have to pump and feed the baby because that's a whole lot of situations going on. But it gives everybody time to make that transition because, again, usually maternal leave is around 6 weeks, unfortunately, if you can even wait that long. So that's kind of like my caveat. But hey, if you have to go back to work at 4 weeks, we got to do something a little bit sooner. So again, working with somebody who can get to your unique goals and where your plan needs to be uniquely is super important.
My next question was, what should moms look for when choosing a lactation consultant? But it seems like it would depend on the woman.
Yes.
Okay.
So just like anything else, not everybody vibes with everybody. Not everybody's personalities kind of go together. So you can browse online. You can see what's available in your area. If you have insurance, you can see if your insurance has like a list of providers that you can kind of go through. But it's just like picking a doctor. It's just like anything else. Kind of you have to fill them out. And also be aware that we are not all the same. Just because you have one negative experience with a lactation consultant does not mean we are all the same. I also like to be sure that you know who your lactation consultant is and what their credentials are. Because again, we are not all the same. So an international board certified lactation consultant, an IBCLC, is a little different from a certified lactation consultant or a lactation counselor. We have different scopes of practice. We can do different things. That is also different from a peer counselor, which is also different from a certified breastfeeding specialist. Like there are levels to lactation care. So finding what level you need to be at and then finding that provider that kind of gives you what you need and is able to mesh with you and understand your goals and help you through that. You're going to have a dream team at the end of the day.
Okay, so birth, kinda, because not like literal birth, but like that time in the hospital. What is your advice to mothers at that point? Like, what does I mean, at this point, does every hospital provide a lactation consultant?
Unfortunately, no.
Jesus.
We would wish that is a thing. But you have rural hospitals where there's not funding for that. You have certain hospitals that may have it during the week and not on the weekends. You might have a hospital that only has one lactation consultant for the whole area. So it kind of depends on your hospital, making sure that you know that in advance. And most either birth or postpartum, labor and delivery or postpartum nurses have some idea of what lactation is supposed to look like, but you also have to realize that that is not their lane or their job. So you can get a lot of misinformation even within the hospital system. Pediatricians are not your go-to for infant feeding if they have not done the additional training.
Mm-hmm.
These professionals look at broad pictures, broad scopes. I want to make sure your baby's gaining weight. How this baby is getting this nutrition and gaining weight? Yeah, I'm up in the air on that.
Mm-hmm.
Me as a lactation consultant, again, it is my focus. I did the hours. I put in the education. All of my stuff is specifically for infant feeding. So yes, I might look at the broad picture of, yes, your baby is gaining weight or not gaining weight, but I care more about the why and the how.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're doing with milk supply. Are you in pain? Like what's the behind the scenes of those things? So unfortunately, not all hospitals have lactation consultants. And again, even at that level, not all lactation consultants in a hospital are IBCLCs.
Mm-hmm.
Those things don't always match. So I like to say every IBCLC is a lactation consultant, but every lactation consultant is not an IBCLC. And that's no shade to anybody. We all have our lanes and our scopes, and we are all needed. But knowing who you are dealing with, their credentials changes their scopes of practice, changes what they can and can't do between you and your child. So those things are important.
Mm-hmm. And that kind of speaks to what you're saying about like to have a prenatal consultant, because then you have a resource if your hospital doesn't.
Exactly. So you have that resource, and also you have good reputable education going into it. Because again, some people are giving you advice from their experience.
Mm-hmm.
If they didn't have a good experience, that advice may look different. If they didn't breastfeed at all, that advice looks different versus somebody who has successfully breastfed or who has additional education when it comes to lactation and can actually support you when it comes to a journey. So those things can look different even within the hospital. Some people are unfortunately sabotaged with their journey from day one. and that, I mean, unfortunately that's the truth, because again, we don't have the support. There's not enough staff. So if you don't have a lactation consultant at your hospital, and your nurse has to be the one to help you latch your baby, but they never latched the baby, so they kind of just going off of videos, and here we go with the formula. Okay, well, here you go. Here's some formula, because we know this baby gonna eat. But all of those things kind of sabotage journeys super early.
So for like, I guess, advice for those who may not have that lactation consultant, what are some things to look for when you're in the hospital, or like aim for when you're in the hospital freshly birthed?
So after you have your baby, skin to skin is one of your best friends. Skin to skin allows your baby to learn who you are, where you are, as if they didn't know for the last 10 months that you're their person. You are even more their person. Mm-hmm. It also allows you to learn their feeding cues, because baby have cues of feeding. They have cues of fullness. If you are skin to skin with your baby for most of this time, you get to learn, oh, they're doing this when they're hungry, or they cry like this when they're ready to eat, or, they make these kind of moves. Also, skin to skin is both beneficial for mom and baby, just like breastfeeding. So it regulates temperature. It increases oxytocin, which is that happy hormone, which is needed for expressing milk out of the body. But also when you are with your baby and picking up those cues, you're less like, oh my gosh, it's been 2 hours. Let me feed my baby. You're looking at your baby. You're learning your baby. So if your baby's like, you're like, okay, here we go. We're ready. If your baby is on your chest and your boob is right here, baby don't have to go too far. You don't have to be moving around and trying to get all of these things together. So initial skin to skin is going to be important. Also, knowledge. A lot of people feel like, hey, my baby is born, they have to have an ounce straight out the room. No. Their belly is literally this big. The size of a cherry, if that. It only holds about 5 to 7 mLs. So you hear a lot of moms say, oh, I didn't have any milk. You absolutely do. Colostrum starts producing around 16 weeks, which is your first milk. They don't need large amounts because their belly literally cannot hold it. So it's, again, that information, that education to know, hey, it's okay. It's okay that your baby slept a couple of hours additional because they just got born. Birthing is a whole experience for everybody involved. The same way you sleepy because you had the baby sleepy because it had to go through that process with you as well. So you hear a lot of misinformation and disinformation surrounding certain things. So knowing going into it what your expectations should be. Again, you should expect to be up every 2 to 3 hours for the most part. You should expect cluster feeding. Cluster feeding is a lot, but it is real. It is developmental. It is a part of the journey. You should expect to be exhausted. Not to not to like make that a goal or anything, but it should be an expectation. You should prepare yourself for that. So you're not caught off guard when your baby is waking up every hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, or when your baby has slept a long period of time. It's kind of, again, knowing the information and knowing the background behind breastfeeding and how it works. It's not, hey, as soon as the baby come out, you got to start pumping because you're going to be even more tired. Like, there's so many things that are displayed or put on social media as good advice, or that are supposed to help, that are actually hurting people's journey. And again, everything should be unique to you and your situation, not necessarily what you saw your friend do, or what you saw on social media, what you heard, what you read on Google.
Yes, cluster feeding nearly took me out.
Cluster feeding is a beast. Like, yes. But you hear so many things about cluster feeding. So some people will say, hey, your baby's cluster feeding, that means you don't have enough milk. That's not what that means. The way cluster feeding, that's not always what that means. Again, there are caveats to everything. Cluster feeding in itself is developmental. The way to make more milk is to move milk. So if my baby is growing a lot, in these even from the first week, your baby's stomach size goes from handling 5 to 7 mLs at birth to 3 days. They're already at almost an ounce. By day 7, they're at 1.5 ounces to 2 ounces. That means in 7 days, your baby's belly has slowly expanded. So we have to train our bodies to make more and more and more milk. How do you do that? Your baby has to empty the breast to get more milk. That looks like cluster feeding. That says, hey, I need more milk. I'm feeding more. I'm growing. So your baby is coming to breast more often, to empty more often, to tell your supply, hey, we need more milk because this baby is getting bigger. But people don't tell you that. People will say, oh my gosh, your baby cluster feeding. You must not have milk, or you need to top them off, or they shouldn't be eating that often. No. Plus, babies feed for more than just nutrition. There's nutritive and non-nutritive suckling. So maybe they are at the breast very often, but maybe it's not because I'm hungry. Maybe it's because I have gas. Maybe it's just because I love you and I'm a baby and I want to be up under you. Maybe I just like sucking, which they do. Sucking is soothing for babies. If you think about it, they've been in the womb, sucking on hands, fingers, feet, umbilical cords. They've been doing this for a very long time. So this is their norm. Looks different for us on the outside, but this is normal for them.
I used to always say, as long as he got me, he'll be fine. Like, even if you get upset, just whip it out. He'll be like,
hey, look, I'm out here for boobs.
Fine.
Like, yeah. I seen somebody on social media talk about something like bottle feeding moms, no matter what's in the bottle. Like, I don't know how y'all do it, because if my baby blinked 4 times, I was like, here's the boob. Did you cough? Here's the boob. Did you? Here's the boob. Like, we here. But again, not everybody has that experience. So if you're having pain when you're latching, I'm not going to be like, here's the boob. I'm going to be like, I don't know. Like, do you really need to do this? So again, it's all about what is unique to you and how we can get you to your goal.
Yeah. Now I'm going on a tangent because you said something about pain. What are some reasons that a woman may experience pain with breastfeeding?
So improper latch is one of the biggest ones. If your baby is only suckling on your nipple as opposed to your breast, then you will be in pain. Give me a second.
You got one of those things?
Yeah, I got you. Give me a second. I gotta go. This is specifically why I wanted to do this in my
They're so
office.
cool.
So, not getting a deep latch. So, let's say your baby is only latched here, which is your nipple. Not only am I chomping on your nipple, I am also effectively decreasing the amount of milk that I can get because milk comes out of the nipple. But if I have a wide gape and I'm suckling on your breast, I am squeezing your breast, more milk is physically coming out, and the nipple is protected. It's further back. So we don't have to worry about that pain. Some babies have what we call compensations where they curl their lips over. So if their mouth, their tongue isn't necessarily doing what they're supposed to do, you hear people talk about the lips being flanged out. So some babies curl their lips over. Well, if my lips are curved over, then there's friction. So it's just rubbing against your breast tissue while I'm suckling this whole time. Pain. There are some people that nipples are a lot more sensitive to others than others. So their baby may have a good latch, but they're just a lot more sensitive associated with pain. So there's a difference that I like to say between soreness and discomfort and pain. Nothing about pumping or breastfeeding should be painful, but there can be soreness because when your baby latches, they also have to change the shape of your breast and your nipple. Your nipple starts to elongate, uncomfortable. If you are not used to the type of stimulation, which most people aren't, and I like to say if you are, that's your business. I'm happy for you. Most people are not used to stimulation at the breast every 2 to 3 hours, or when you're in that cluster feeding every 30 minutes to go. That is uncomfortable. You also have a whole human with saliva all in their mouth, sucking, chomping. So then that can dry out your nipples a lot faster because now we have all of this saliva, we have all of this wetness and moisture. A lot of us like to take really hot showers. So now you have all of these things compounding pain. So it becomes, is it discomfort or is it pain? But if it's pain, we need to address pain because there's a problem. Nothing about this should be painful. I like to say if I'm going to open doors and every time I hit a doorknob, I'm going to get shocked, I'm not going to open a lot of doorknobs. Same thing with breastfeeding. When you start to associate those things with pain, your body is going to protect you from that. So anytime you're going into that environment or you're about to feed and it's painful, your brain is already like cortisol levels are high, stress levels are high. You're trying to latch your baby, but you know it's going to be painful. So instead of like getting them latched, you're like, oh, wait, hold on. Now your baby became a little piranha because they hungry and they just like, oh, wait, I got something. I'm here. Now we in pain. So it's, again, taking those steps back, realizing that pain is not normal. Don't let anybody tell you pain is normal or your nipples have to toughen up or just keep going. Like, just keep going. If you're latching and you're doing this, that's pain. You're not going to last very long breastfeeding in that. But soreness is normal. Again, you're not used to this type of stimulation initially. Unless you are, then again, your business. But those things have to be addressed, like I said, early for your journey to be successful.
All right. So postpartum. What should moms do if they're worried about a low milk supply?
So let's talk about low milk supply. I feel like a lot of people are worried about low milk supply because we are inundated on social media with oversuppliers. So you see people pulling out these eggs or pulling out their pumps and they're pumping out 9, 10, 12 ounces per session. They're like, yay, look at this brick. Girl, your body is not meant to do that. Now, some people are natural overproducers, and I am all about whatever your journey wants to look like for you. I personally was a natural overproducer. No matter what pump I used, it didn't matter what was going on. I could at least get 7 or 8 ounces every time I pumped. If I waited longer, I could likely get more. And I'm not even talking about full 30-minute sessions because I hated pumping. you got a good 15 minutes with me. Whatever you get is what you're going to get. I'm not sitting here. No, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So I think part of it is perceived low supply. So if you see somebody pumping out 8, 9, 10 ounces per session and you're only pumping out 4 ounces per session, and all you see is people pumping out 8, 9, 10 ounces, you're going to be like, oh, something's wrong with me. No, that's not what this looks like. So supply in and of itself. If you have fed your baby at the breast and then you are pumping, between half an ounce and 2 ounces is normal supply. If you have not fed your baby or has been like at least an hour and a half to 2 hours between sessions, between 2 to 4 ounces combined, both breasts, is normal supply. Generally, exclusively breastfed babies will not take over 5 to 5.5 ounces, no matter how old they are. From 1 month to 6 months at least, between 2.5 to 5.5 ounces is what your baby will drink, which means I don't have to make 8, 9, 10 ounces. My baby won't ever drink 8, 9, 10 ounces of breast milk. That looks different when it comes to formula. But of breast milk, because breast milk becomes what your baby needs. If they need more calories, if they need more proteins, more fats, more carbs, your breast milk and whatever you're pumping out becomes that. Formula is different. Everything is set. So I have to increase the amount to make sure my baby is meeting these needs nutritionally, where my breast milk becomes what my baby needs. So there's that part. If there are actual concerns with low supply, see a professional that can help you with low supply. It is not, hey, I drunk Dr. Pepper and ate a stack of Oreos and miraculously I have a better supply. That's not how milk supply works. So again, knowing how milk supply works can save you a lot of heartache and a lot of coins. Also knowing your hormones play a huge factor in milk supply. So again, going back to if you have any of these PCOS, fertility issues, diabetes, a lot of stress, hypertension, these things affect your supply. So when it comes to hormones, if your hormones aren't doing what they're supposed to do, you can pump every day, all day, 24/7, and you will not get the supply that you think you have. But seeing somebody that can help you figure out the root cause of said low supply can be different. So I always start with, what was your supply? What did it do? And what was going on around the time this supply change happened? If you're saying, hey, I went from making 8 ounces to making like 5 ounces and my baby just turned 3 months, I'm going to say, you don't have low supply. Your supply regulated. Because initially hormones run the show. So you're just kicking out a whole bunch of milk. Well, supply and demand tells your body what your baby is actually drinking. So then your body starts to produce what your baby is actually drinking. That looks different from somebody saying, I have only pumped half an ounce every time I pump, and I pump for 30 minutes. Now we're talking about maybe actual low supply. And we get into, oh, okay. And they'll say, oh, you know what? I have an issue with my thyroid. Ding, 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 ding. Hormones. Let's figure out what the root cause of these supply issues are. Or is it my hormones are fine? I was home for 6 weeks, so I was feeding my baby at the breast, and then I pumped occasionally. Now I went back to work and I can only pump 3 times. Guess what's wrong? Supply and demand. So now your body is becoming to, or starting to make what you are telling it, which if you're only pumping 2 times, you're telling it you need way less milk. Or some people start dropping off their night feeds or their night sessions super early, where your body is physically making more milk overnight. So if you are not removing that milk overnight, you're telling your body, I don't need this milk. So your body gonna be like, all right, sis, no problem. I got you. Right. I got better things to do anyway. I can go like pump your heart a little bit more, or, supply your kidneys with some more blood. Like I can do other things. So it's seeing if there actually is a low supply versus perceived low supply, and then figuring out the root cause of what this low supply is.
Okay. And so, like, the hormone, like if it's because of hormones, is there a way around? I'm assuming, but also
Yeah.
you shouldn't assume. But is there a way around that?
Yeah. When it comes to hormones, again, that is working with professionals that can actually help you.
Mm-hmm.
So, there are breastfeeding medicine providers. There are certain labs you can run to see what's going on with your hormones, if it's thyroid related, if it's like which hormone we're talking about, and then you can use supplements, but that is again under the direction of somebody that is specific and unique to you, because a lot of people just start taking these supplements or buying this stuff to take, but you don't know, one, how it's affecting your body until you're taking it, and two, if you have additional chronic conditions, hormones or supplements can affect other things. So make sure you are speaking with someone who is, again, well versed in your unique situation, can run the correct labs, read the labs correctly, and be able to actually offer you legitimate medications, if you're into medications, supplements, herbs, whatever, to help support what your body needs when it comes to hormones. Or sometimes we have to have hard conversations. Sometimes it's, hey, mama, you might not make a full supply. Are you okay with that? Are you okay with pumping however much you pump and giving your baby however much milk you get? Because this is what your body is going to do. If you okay with it, I'm okay with it. If you're not okay with it, let's come up with a different plan. Let's figure out how this needs to work for you to feel like you are successful, because success looks different for everyone.
I want to take a quick break from today's episode to highlight our Black women highlight for the week. Are you looking to take your event to the next level? You can never go wrong with a photo booth, and Eventor has got you covered. Eventor offers an easy-to-use photo booth stand that also has printing. Whether you're throwing a birthday party, a wedding, a baby shower, really whatever you're trying to do, they can help you. In addition to providing the booth, you will also get a personalized overlay to make your events even more memorable. Follow Eventor on Instagram at even.ttour. To book, visit the website eventtourrental.com. Let's get back to the episode.
So you kind of mentioned like this may be your supply, and then formula. I personally, I feel like it's a lot of things out there where it doesn't make it easy for women to do like combo feeding or mixed feeding,
Most
and
definitely.
like, I mean, you're one person, but how do you think we could normalize this? Like, because sometimes you just can't, and that doesn't mean you should completely give up.
Yeah. So again, that's meeting you where you are and what your goals are. Because again, not everybody wants to strictly breastfeed. If you coming out like, hey, I want a combination feed, cool, let's do it. So that's, again, finding the bottles that you need, knowing that the more you are introducing bottles and taking baby away from breast, your milk supply will in turn become what that is. So if you are only removing milk 3 times a day and you're providing bottles that other time, you are telling your body, again, I don't need this milk. So your milk supply will decrease. Or if you're bottle feeding express milk, you still have to pump the milk as if you were feeding your baby, because your body needs to know what your baby needs. So there's two sides to that. Some people find combination feeding can be a little bit more difficult because I'm doing two things. So if I am feeding at the breast, but also I am pumping because I have to have milk for a bottle, or I am still buying formula, I still have to wash the pump parts, wash the bottle parts, make sure the nipples are clean. So it's all, again, in what your situation looks like and what your goals look like and how that works for you and your family. Because personally, I feel like combination feeding is a lot.
It sounds like a lot.
Like, to me personally, it was so much easier to latch my baby. Whenever I am around my baby, let's latch. I'm not pumping. I'm not doing none of this other stuff, because that became overwhelming for me. It is easy for me and you to do this. I don't have to worry about no cleanup. I don't have to worry about other things going on. 2 people, 1 process. But again, if that is painful for you, if your baby's not latching well, if your baby's not effectively removing milk, you have to institute some of these other things. So just again, knowing how combination feeding can affect breastfeeding and what that goal is for you is where it starts. And then if you're okay with the things, let's figure out how we can get you combination feeding.
Okay, we're gonna do a little bit of a pivot. Postpartum, all the things. You mentioned mental health. It can affect your mental health even outside of breastfeeding. Emotionally, it's just a lot. So, in your experience, how have you seen like breastfeeding impact women's mental health, and like any advice for them to get through that?
So it can go one of two ways, honestly. Some people have mental health concerns, and breastfeeding actually helps them. They are bonding with their baby. You are naturally producing more oxytocin, which is that happy hormone. So that is flooding your system a lot more. And so you are less consumed with certain things that come along with mental health, depression, anxiety, because now I have a focus, I have a goal. And again, that oxytocin boost can help some people. The opposite can also happen. So you're more stressed out. Am I producing enough milk? Is my baby eating enough? If they are not, what do these things look like? Then you have to, okay, well, do I want to pump? Do I want to formula feed? If you want to formula feed, now I have to find a formula. And if my baby takes the formula, it becomes a lot. So support, again, back to that caveat of support. Not feeling like you're in this by yourself, even though you may think you are. Voicing your concerns, your opinions. If you are really struggling, talking to your providers like, hey, I am not okay. Not being ashamed to let people know about this how motherhood is to you. Because again, that is specific to you. I personally suffered with anxiety and depression, but breastfeeding was not one of those things that contributed to those symptoms for me. I found, again, I was one of the people where breastfeeding, I feel like, helped my mental health, because I was like, oh my gosh, look at this life I created, and look at me like producing this milk and constantly seeing my baby grow. And like, it was a rewarding experience for me to be able to, every time I went to that doctor and they were like, hey, he gained blah 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 blah, yep, that was me. That was me and the girls. Like, yep, we in here. I was also very upfront with my family, very upfront with my husband. Even though I did have support, there were times I cried in the shower. There were times I was so overwhelmed with everything that I was not okay, but I was able to lean on my support system. My husband was able to be like, okay, I'm gonna take the baby, you go take a shower, or you step out, touch some grass, take a walk, I don't care. Or, hey, let's get out of the house, let's just go walk around the mall, let's like get out of this environment. Because again, as moms, as parents, we take a lot of mental load on, and we take a lot of the stress of whatever is going on with our kids. So it can be very overwhelming, but having that support system, knowing the people you can talk to that you trust, initiating medications if that is what is needed, and not feeling guilty about these things. If for me, if you like, hey, breastfeeding ain't it, I can't do it, I'm over it, cool, that's fine. I am more about informed care than I am about, oh, I breastfed, or I did this, or I had to make this decision. The decision is yours to make. It is your child, your family, your life. I don't live with you. So whereas I was super successful at the things and I had what I needed, again, not everybody has that story. So taking away that guilt, that shame, taking some of the workload off, and finding the people that will support you in your goal and whatever that looks like for you can be tremendous for your mental health. And then not suffering in silence.
Yeah.
All of those things make this journey a little bit easier.
And so you mentioned a couple of ways that your husband supported you. What are some ways, like outside of the mom and dad relationship, people can support a breastfeeding mother?
So again, specific to the breastfeeding mother, some people are more like, hey, come take care of the baby, I need to get out, I need to do this, I need to do that. Some people are more like, I'll take care of the baby, you do the other things. So support looks like talking to the person who needs support. What do you need to be supported in? And kind of throwing out ideas if they don't know. Again, we are in this fall when it comes to motherhood and postpartum, especially in that very initial period. So I might not be able to tell you, hey, I need a shower. But what if you come over and say, oh, the baby sleep, you just fed the baby. How about you go take a shower real quick? I'll watch him. Or if it's, hey, mom, I'm feeding, the mom is feeding, the mom don't want you hanging on to her baby. Okay, I'll go do the dishes. I'll go do the laundry. I'll make a meal. I will just sit with you. Let's vent. Like, what do you need from me is always going to be key. You can't assume just because you want this type of thing or that's what support looks like for you, that it's the same for that other person.
Okay. And so I personally have not had to deal with returning to work as a breastfeeding mother. I got really lucky that second time, but I do know it's a thing.
Yeah.
So, and I know some companies are not as like, I'm trying to find nice words, but you follow. So how can moms advocate for themselves when it comes to returning to work and being a breastfeeding mother and needing those pumping breaks?
So one thing I like to say is that pumping is protected by law. So your job environment has to have certain things in place for you as a lactating individual by law. Going to your state and seeing what those things are. Making sure you're communicating with your job. Hey, I'm coming back to work. I'm pumping. This is what it says I need. This is what I am going to need. How are we coordinating this for me? That's how you advocate for yourself. It's not just showing up, which you should be able to just say, hey, I had a baby. People should know that you either feeding or like what you need, but that is not the case for everyone. Not everyone is aware. So knowing what is protected by your state, because every state, can have different things. Also looking into your employee handbook, if you have one, talking to your HR department, seeing what your job already has available as it relates to what you are entitled to by law. Making sure, hey, I'm supposed to have this many pump breaks that are not necessarily, oh, you had to clock out and go do this. Like they are covered within your day, just like smoke breaks. Like people get smoke breaks. I still don't understand how you
I
can
was saying the year 2025 still.
like I still don't understand how you can be like, hey, I'm gonna go take a smoke, and you get like all these extra little 15-minute breaks, but you got a problem with me going to provide for my baby food. Like, what is this? I don't understand. So again, preparation is the key. Knowing what you're entitled to, knowing what your job offers, like before you go back to work, having that communication. This is what I need. This is what this looks like. How can we coordinate so that everybody wins? Also knowing that going back to work will affect your supply, especially if you have been home with your baby all this time and feeding on demand and doing the things. Now you're away from your child. So how are you activating your milk when your child is not there? So like preparing yourself for that. You can produce less because you are not physically with this child. So creating an environment that is conducive for removing milk. I know a lot of people like wearables because, hey, I can move, I can sit at my desk, I can still type. But if you are in that mentality, you are not focused on removing milk. Now this is not where my focus is. So I'm still worried about working. Most people who go back to work really don't want to be at work. I would rather be at home with my baby. So there is stress when it comes to that. So just kind of, again, seeing what your job, kind of how that coordinates, and knowing what this looks like for yourself, making sure you have a good pump, making sure you have all of the things that you need to return to work, making sure your pumps or your flanges are properly sized, your output, if you have access to a refrigerator to store your milk, or if I have to do other things, just like knowing a lot of moving parts are involved and preparing for what those moving parts look like.
Okay. All right. I'm going to wrap it up for you. Just a few questions.
Cool.
I done lost the question. Where'd it go? Oh.
Hopefully I wasn't too long-winded. And,
No, it was perfect.
Well, yay.
I had a lot of tangents. I wanted to go. I was like, nah, just reel in. So I did not.
We can talk offline if you need to. It's fine. I'm here
Okay.
for the things.
So what would you say to the mom? Like how we talk about how this can be overwhelming and all those things. What would you say to that mom who feels overwhelmed or guilty because this journey did not go how she wanted it to go?
I would say breathe and pivot as you need to. We don't always get the outcome that we want, and that's with most things. Maybe you wanted a different job, maybe you wanted a different partner, maybe you wanted a different car, but you are where you are. So focus on where you are. Make whatever you have going on work for you, and don't care about the outside. Like at the end of the day, people are judged no matter what they do. If you formula feed, you judged. If you breastfeed, you judged. If you breastfeed too long, you judged. If you using a certain brand of formula, you judged. Judgment comes with all the things. So learning and accepting, if you're okay with it and it works for you and your family, to hell with everybody else, honestly. Like I don't care.
I think that works for everything. Like even outside of
Literally
breastfeeding.
everything. You
Just
are
like
judged no matter what you do. You are judged on sight. They don't even have to know you. You are judged on sight. So realizing that that is not just a part of your journey, breastfeeding, bottle feeding, formula feeding, it's with life, period. So however you cope and deal with that, that's how you cope and deal with that thing too, because it is what it is.
this one's a fun one. Maybe
Yeah.
it's fun for me at least.
Okay.
What is your favorite breastfeeding hack?
Ooh, my favorite breastfeeding hack. I don't know. My mind goes in so many directions when you say that. Can you narrow that down for me?
Okay, give me. How about you? You want me to give you three? So you can give me three.
Like 3 options?
Yeah, you can give me three of them.
I give you 3 of my favorite breastfeeding hack.
Because I can't narrow it down.
I don't know. We're considering hacks here. Like,
okay, let's discuss.
okay.
What I mean is like, okay, so one thing I think of, was it right? I don't know. You tell me. When I used to feed him on one breast, I would put the haka on the other one and catch the milk.
Okay.
So things like that can make your life easier. Because I did not like pumping. I didn't like washing pumping parts.
Yeah.
And that was easy for me to collect milk and just clean that thing out and
All
keep
right,
going with
got
my
it.
life.
So, in that regard, the haka is a gift and a curse to me. So, the haka is actually considered a pump. It is a silicone passive pump. Anything that you are applying to your breast that changes the suction or that forces milk to come out is technically a pump, which is the haka. The downside is the haka that it is a one size fits all system. Breast and nipples are sisters, not twins. They are not one size fits all. So you have some people that are getting nipple damage, or not nipple damage, breast trauma, breast damage, because the haka is this big open thing that is sucking on more breast tissue than it is anything else. That's okay for some people. Some people, it don't work out well. I use the haka personally, kind of in the same way, that also promotes oversupply, because I am forcing my body to push milk out. Well, if I already have a lot of milk coming out and I'm telling my body I need more milk, then I am in this cycle of oversupply, which was what my situation was. So I had to, as much as I was like, I could get like 3 or 4 ounces out of haka on one feed. Because again, I was an overproducer, but I was not thinking, hey, I'm moving this milk, so now more milk is going to come. So then before it was time to feed my son again, I'm already getting engorged because I just took milk. It was the whole situation. So it's little stuff like that. So general hacks for me is feed your baby. Not a refrigerator, not a stash, not a freezer. Don't look at a clock. Don't do it by time. Look at your baby. Feed your baby. That is one of the biggest hacks. So can I just do that one?
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm like, I can't, again, because what is a hack for one person
Mm-hmm.
is not the same for another one. So like another one could be like the refrigerator hack a lot of people are using. So that is like they use their pump parts, and then instead of
Oh.
washing them after every time they use their pump parts, they'll rinse them
Mm-hmm.
out, put them in a Ziploc bag, put them in the refrigerator. I think that's a cool hack. I have used that personally. Some people are grossed out by that. Some people are like, ew, no, bacteria. Ugh. There's also
But you
like,
put food in the microwave. I mean, you put food in the fridge and then you eat it again.
I mean, yeah, so again, hack for some,
I got you. Yeah, you're right. It
disgusting for
works for some.
others.
Yeah.
Or like the picture method. That's
Oh
another
yeah.
hack. Some people are like, yeah, I mix all my milk during the day, make bottles, freeze it, whatever. Some people are like, oh, well, your nighttime milk is different from your daytime milk and blah, 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 blah. So is it a hack or is it not?
Yeah.
Another one that I used personally was having a refrigerator in my room. Because again, I was pumping throughout the night initially because I had like a whole oversupply. I was not going to get up and go downstairs. And no, I have a 2-story house. I'm tired. I'm not doing
In
this.
the middle of the night?
No, who doing that? Stop it.
Yeah.
So I had a refrigerator at the bedside. I seen a video the other day where somebody was like, yeah, the refrigerator at the bedside wasn't doing it. It wasn't cold enough, so my baby was getting sick. Hack for me, suck for them.
Buy a new fridge.
So
Change the
again,
temperature. There's so many
all of
options.
these things are very individualized to your journey. So what is considered a hack or helpful for some person is like a no-go for somebody else.
You said something about time, and I think you remember how I said I stopped breastfeeding my first. It was a lot of things I was in my head about, but time was one of them too, because they was like, they should be feeding for 40 to 45 minutes, blah, blah, blah. And my son was eating fast.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe he's not getting enough. But my other son, the second one who I did successfully breastfeed, he didn't eat that long. And he's big as crap. So it's just like, it was like the misinformation also didn't help me.
Little stuff like that. Or some people saying, oh, your baby should only eat 10 minutes. So after 10 minutes on this side, take them off and put them on the other side for 10 minutes. What? Why would I do that?
Yeah.
If you're actively eating your food and a clock goes off and somebody take your plate, you're going to be mad. Like, what you mean? So I'm either not going to go back to eating or I'm going to be real aggressive the second time. Like, you're not going to take this. Or some babies take longer than 20 minutes to eat. Some babies take only 20 minutes to eat. So again, it is all about learning your baby, learning your cues, learning what your body is doing. It also leads into your supply. Some babies or some people have a very robust supply, so it takes 10 minutes for their babies to get what they need. They done. Whereas some people, milk capacity wise, can't hold large volumes of milk. So they baby might need to eat a little bit longer. Again, we have to think about oral dysfunction and what babies can do. If I am physically having a time getting to breast and getting the milk out, it might take me longer. I might fall asleep more. I might need a couple of breaks. Or I might eat really fast and have to fall asleep. Then 30 minutes later, I really didn't get enough, so I'm going to wake up and I'm going to eat some more. There's so many things. It's not all on the mom. You have to remember breastfeeding is 2 people. There are 2 people that are actively doing this together. So while mom's supply plays a part in it, so does baby and how they are moving milk and how they are effectively doing the things too. So mom can have a great supply, but if baby is not effectively removing the milk, then her supply will go down because the milk is not doing and moving. But that has nothing to do with mom's hormones or nothing to do with that. It has to do with the supply and demand side. So again, back to root cause. What is going on? Is it mom has a low supply or hormonal issue, or is it supply and demand side issue? If it is supply and demand side issue, is it mom's part? Or is it babies not effectively doing the things that they're supposed to do? So we have issues with moving there. 2 people are involved at all times. So you can't just look singularly or as the mom, as the parent. You can't just take everything on as if you are not enough. Sometimes our babies aren't doing what they're supposed to do on their side. And they need a little bit of, you got to pull your weight too, little buddy. So there's that too.
Okay, and so because we talked about misinformation, my other question: where can mothers find trustworthy breastfeeding information?
I mean, me, of course.
Well, yes, but do you do virtual consultations? Do you do virtual consultations?
Have I done them? Yes. Do I like to do them? Not necessarily. And just because of the way that I am more hands-on. I like to explain the things going on. And that gets a little bit harder when you're doing it over video.
Mm-hmm.
What if I need a certain angle and you don't understand what I'm asking you? So then I can't really see what's supposed to be going on.
Yeah.
So especially for initial consultations, I do not do virtuals for initial consultations. Now, say you want to, hey, call me, chop it up. This is my scenario. What is your opinion? What do you think? We can do something like that, which is what I consider a mini consultation, where I'm not getting full health history or any of those things. It's kind of, hey, this is what's going on. What are your ideas? So that is more of a virtual, or for clients that I'm already seeing, that I've already done a full oral assessment on, that I have seen in person, that I know what's going on, what I'm walking into. So yes and no to that question.
So if you're in the Jacksonville area,
Yes,
go
if
see
you're in
Courtney.
Jacksonville, Florida, holla at your girl. Your initial consultation is in person. I do home visits as well. I accept a couple of different insurance companies, but I also have self-pay. I have a sliding scale if necessary. At the end of the day, I'm here to support the team. You know what I mean? And I do realize that not everybody financially can pay for things. So I am always like, reach out. We'll figure something out. And I feel like that is true for most lactation professionals who, it's not like we out here making a whole lot of money, honestly. Like, most of us are in this because we love what we do and we want to support families and continue to support and promote breastfeeding and get breastfeeding rates up. So my recommendation for anybody who is in the situation, if you find a lactation consultant, contact them. Hey, this is what I can do. This is what I can't do. I mean, the worst case scenario they could say is no. And they may have additional resources for you, like, hey, I can't do it, but I got a friend over here, or here's a support group, or, here's a good video or something like that. So closed mouths don't get fed.
That is my favorite saying. Okay. So where can the listeners find you? Yeah, that's the question. Where can they find you?
I'm on TikTok at Courtney Skipworth. I think it might be under Picture Perfect Latch as well. You can Google Picture Perfect Latch and all of my socials will come up. I also have a Facebook group. There's this Facebook group here specific in Jacksonville called Latch Lounge Jacks. I also have a support group that I run every Thursday, the first Thursday of every month in my office, that's associated with Latch Lounge Jacks. I am on Instagram. Yeah, Picture Perfect Latch on Instagram. So go show your girl some love. I will, and I do my TikTok live every Sunday night from 9. It's usually between 9 and 9:30, depending on when my son decides he want to be asleep. And I usually go to almost midnight on Eastern Standard Time. Yeah.
Power to you, man. I'll be on there sleep.
Listen, it gets fun though. Again, because I feel like when you're doing what you love, to me, it is not work. I work more now as an entrepreneur than I did probably in the military. Nah, I'm lying. I work more in the military, but it is not considered work to me. So I love what I do. So 3 hours can go by really fast. And I'm like, oh my God, I got to go to work tomorrow. Like, it's midnight and I got on here at 9:30. Like, I didn't even plan to be on here that long, but it's very interactive. People are asking questions. I don't charge anybody to ask questions. I come in, talk. It's moms. There's SLPs. There's other lactation providers that usually slide in. We have a good time.
You about to get me on another tangent. Sorry. So SOPs, you mean like speech language pathologists?
Speech language pathologists.
So is breastfeeding directly related to that?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay, we don't have time.
Like, when I tell you there's a team, we're talking about, depending on how you feel, chiropractors, speech language pathologists, pediatric dentists, pediatric ENTs, so ear, nose, throat providers. You have myocranial functional therapists, oral rehab. Like, there are so many people that are in this bubble
Mm-hmm.
that you may not even know about.
Yeah, you shocked me with the speed. I mean, it makes sense. It
Does,
makes
doesn't
sense.
it?
It just, it never crossed my mind. All right. Well, thank you for coming on today. Is there anything that I didn't ask that you wanted to share with the listeners?
I don't think so. I think it was, pretty thorough. Again, I told you I'm here for the team. So
Okay.
ask what you want and I have some answers.
All right. Well, thank you for joining me. Listeners, be sure to follow Courtney on all the things. I will link her stuff in the description. Follow me or the podcast on Instagram as well as TikTok. And thank you for listening.
Thank you.